Mrs. Santa.
In the house. Let them sit under your arm as well.
They say say Nick, but you got a bit in that bag, yeah.
From now on.
Let's go right into our first headline.
They say Nick, but you got a bit in that bag, yeah. With the lights out, 'tis the season.
Going to a break.
Where the difference is made, where titles are decided, where respect is earned. Excel here and you could go down in history. It's the final third. CVM TV's weekly JPL preview show every Sunday, starting 30 minutes before our live broadcast. Get insight, analysis, and hear from your favorite players weekly, just before we bring you our feature broadcast for the day. Move from defense to attack and join us in the final third. This and every Sunday until the end of the JPL season.
No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Thursday, December 5, 2024. This is CVM News at noon. I'm Ramon Gordon. A state of public emergency has been declared in St. Andrews South and parts of St. Andrews Central due to a spike in violent crimes, including gang activities in areas like Waltham Park Road, Maxfield Avenue, and Waterhouse. The Governor General approved the measure. Security forces will ramp up operations supported by social programs to address the root causes. The government says constitutional rights will be respected as efforts focus on sustainable peace. And a bomb threat disrupted court proceedings at the St. Catherine Parish Court on Thursday, forcing delays and leaving workers and attendees gathered outside. Police and fire officials are combing the building. This is part of a troubling rise in threats against schools, businesses, and government offices. The court faced a similar scare back in November. And residents of Bobby Lane in Homestead, Spanish Town, staged a fiery protest this morning, blocking main roads to denounce the fatal shooting of a community member by security forces last night. The deceased has been identified as 48-year-old Vernon Campbell, also known as Baldhead, a laborer of Old Harbor Road. It's understood that Campbell was fatally shot during an alleged confrontation on Wednesday night. More details to come in subsequent newscasts. Prime Minister Andrew Holness today signed a $36 billion in contract under the Spark program, one of Jamaica's largest ever road rehabilitation initiatives. Construction is set to begin this month, targeting over 600 roads across the island.
Start tomorrow, I'd be the happiest person. I am told that there is a date in mind, but I'm not going to say what that date is. When we are certain, and that can only be when the backhoe is on the site, then we will say we have begun.
The contracts are awarded to China Harbor Engineering Company, Czech, after an international bidding process, cover 4 packages spanning major community roads in areas like Kingston, St. Andrews, St. Catherine, and Clarendon. Work is expected to take 2 years with an additional year for defect repairs.
The NAA will be responsible for the management and implementation of all works. They will be supported by teams of engineers, consultants, and other technical professionals. So we expect that there will be sufficient oversight of the work of the contractors.
Responding to earlier opposition questions on why a contractor wasn't immediately named, Holness said the government followed all procurement guidelines.
I see MP Michael Phillips here, who asked me a question in Parliament, when are we going to name who was the successful bidder? Because we wanted to be in absolute compliance with the rules, we did not disclose who the successful bidder was until we had completed what was required of us from a legal standpoint.
The project's total cost is $45 billion, including $5 billion for water infrastructure upgrades. Public consultations shaped road selection, and a new monitoring platform will allow citizens to track progress and report any issues. Construction is expected to ramp up in the coming weeks. The opposition is calling for better support for craft vendors after recent protests at the Oterias Craft Market. Opposition leader Mark Golding says poor conditions are hurting businesses and urges more stakeholder involvement.
Source of the tourists, which are the cruise ships and the hotels, the way in which that's being managed is really to the disadvantage of our Jamaican craft vendors, you know, where they are, of course, are not being encouraged to come here, and other arrangements are being made at a higher level, which make it very difficult for you to make any money. And this is a structural problem in the industry that must be addressed. And we have to find ways of giving you access. For example, why can't we have tours for the craft industry tours that and buses are provided to facilitate tourists coming here? Why can't that be done? You know, why can't you be given greater levels of access and to the pier itself? And also, you know, these other arrangements, we need to really look at that and talk to the players and say everybody has to eat our food.
Former UK Labour leader Jamie Corbyn says the reparations movement has gained so much momentum that the UK government can no longer ignore it. Speaking on CVM's lead story last evening, Corbyn praised advocates in Britain and its former colonies for driving the cause forward.
Then when it came up at the Commonwealth Heads of Government Conference in Samoa, our Foreign Secretary and our Prime Minister both said there was no appetite to have this discussion. 54 other heads of government had said they wanted to have the discussion. But Britain somehow or other managed to veto even a debate. Well, it's not going to go away, because you look at the issues of inequality on trade, you look at the issues of indebtedness, and you look at the pain that so many families went through, ones who lost people during slavery, but those since then. I think the issue has come full circle.
Meanwhile, Jeremy Corbyn says discussions on reparation and fair trade are hindered by the UK's enduring pride in British imperialism.
You've got to be very brave in Britain to stand up against the tradition of empire and the tradition of control. Remember the history that most people in Britain are brought up with in school. It isn't world history, it isn't global history, it's history of Britain. Yes, it's history of social reform, but it's also history of empire. And when I was leader of the party, Dawn Butler and myself worked very hard on creating the idea of the Emancipation Education Trust, which would be a trust which would give resources and stuff to every school in the country to talk about how slaves were emancipated, who stood up against the slavery. And that brings in the whole anti-colonial education.
The fourth Dying to be Beautiful Symposium highlights health and beauty challenges and building self-confidence. Clinical psychologist Carl James shared insights on Sunrise this morning.
We're seeing a rise in the trends of disordered eating behaviors. We're seeing where not only females, because initially it was common among just females, but we're seeing a rise in males as well in terms of the drive for muscularity. We're seeing where females are going on diets and where it's not sustainable. So we're finding where individuals will dive into like binge eating, where they'll lose a lot of weight, where we're also seeing like skin bleaching as well. So those are some of the common issues that we're seeing happening. So we do have a pediatrician. So he's a pediatrician who specializes in the impact of the social media on adolescents and young children. We also have another psychologist, that's Michael Rich, but we do have another psychologist who specializes in that area, and that's Kenesha McBride, who will be speaking at the event. But what we've seen is that we have this standard of beauty and, you know, promises surrounding beauty. And so what we find happening is that the more you engage with the social media, is the more you're seeing where, okay, if I'm to have a particular look, then I'll be more successful, then I'll gain happiness, then I'll lose this anxiety, I'll lose this depression.
With us, our discussion segment is next.
This is a public service announcement. Yo, 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 JPS have something for light up your Christmas. 101 lucky customers are gonna get real happy with them light bill paid this Christmas. That's over $2 million in light. Use the My JPS app to view your bill, set your budget, and track your usage, and you could win. Download and start using the My JPS app today. JPS, pouring what matters this Christmas. Promotion ends December 27. Conditions apply.
Hello Jamaica, my name is Daniel Hewitt. The last time you saw me, I was graduating Distinction College. I now reside in the city of Brooklyn, New York, where I work at a prominent nursing home. I've always wanted to become a nurse, but being a single mother and living on my own made my dream of becoming a nurse seem far-fetched. Checking out different schools and different programs, I chose Distinction College because of their affordable tuition, flexible schedule, and their hassle-free registration process. Distinction College offers different programs in nursing such as pediatric nursing, geriatric nursing, practical nursing, and even phlebotomy. Because of the training I got at Distinction College and the international certification, I am now licensed by the New York State Department of Health to work as a CNA in the state of New York. And it all started at Distinction College. I took that step. You can do it too. Choose Distinction College.
Welcome back. We're talking about the Tech Beach Retreat TBR happening in Montego Bay, Jamaica, an exciting event aiming to boost the global tech ecosystem. We're going to throw to our reporter, Trisha Gay Kelly, who is on location.
Hi, Ramon. Good afternoon, viewers. It's been great here. It's been a lot of networking. We started last night with a few presentations, but today the main presentation started, and they're zooming in on AI, artificial intelligence, something that many Jamaicans are quite skeptical about. So I brought with me someone who can tell us a little bit more about it. And with me is Chairman of the National AI Policy Task Force, Mr. Christopher Record. Hi, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
All right, so just to zoom in on what you guys just discussed, there was a session just now and you spoke about artificial intelligence in the Caribbean and some of the challenges. Could you tell us what that's like?
Yeah, so one of the big challenges, of course, with AI is around ethical use of AI and ethical implementation. But there's, of course, a lot of worry and concern about reskilling and job loss. And so, you know, the panelists discussed and debated around some of those things. And there's a massive question around, if I make the massive investment, will I get the return, right? Because what's happening, a lot of people are finding out that I need to get my data in order in order to benefit from AI. And a lot of people don't have their data in order. And remember, ChatGPT is not AI. That's just one tiny example of AI. And so lots of people are using ChatGPT to help them write speeches and prepare questions for interviews and stuff like that. And they believe that's the end all and be all of AI. We've had a lot of examples in there and folks are using AI for a wide range of other things, other than just using a chatbot. But that's what ChatGPT is, very intelligent chatbots, getting more and more intelligent. But there's a vast array of opportunities out there in the market.
Well, I noticed one panelist especially was saying that a lot of the people who use AI aren't asking the right questions, so they aren't getting the right results.
Sure.
Explain that a little bit more for us.
So for those of us who do a little bit in the concept of prompt engineering, is asking the questions properly. Most of us are very used to a Google type question where we're asking, what is this, what is that, where is this, or define this word. Those are some of the things that are happening. When you're using a massively intelligent tool, for example, whether you're using Google's tool or Claude or ChatGPT, you have a way of prompting the system to answer you. And the layered prompts work a lot better than a simple question. So for example, when I was preparing for this talk, they sent me an invitation. I take the invitation, I upload it. And I said, based upon this, give me a give me a proposed monologue for the discussion, to start my discussion. I mean, I didn't really use it, but I did it and I read it, so I have some ideas now. And then now, from that, I ask it, prepare some questions. And I ask it now, from these questions, prepare some answers. And then, so it is a way you question, you keep layering more complex, more complex, more complex. That's just one method of asking questions and asking the right type of questions. Lots of people sadly just hand it like Google, and they just, what is this? Enter, and they get the answer, and you're done. No, some of my questions for some of the projects I'm working on, my questions are sometimes 1,000 words. 2 pages. I'm setting context, I'm laying out the background and then now I'm saying, based upon this, I ask, what is that? Then define that. Then add some complexity to it, add some context, and I keep going. And sometimes when I'm done, I sometimes have a small book.
All right, so let's zoom in a little bit into Jamaica now. I know Jamaicans are a bit skeptical about technology and a whole, much less AI. So where do we go from here? Where does the country go?
So we have a lot of work to do. So the National AI Task Force, which we just concluded on doing our report, we're not doing the policy. So there's a lot of people that are, while I was on stage a while ago, somebody from the government is sending me a message wanting to know if we're handling this topic or that topic, and I just had to respond. While I'm on stage, we are the recommendation, we prepared the recommendation document. That's what we did. We're not preparing the actual policy. We hand over the recommendation document to the government, and then they put some things in place to prepare policy. Now, one of the key things in there is around sensitization. It's around public awareness. We have to make the public aware as to what the capabilities of these tools are. This is not the first time this is happening. This happened in the way before you considered, you and I, or even considered being born. We had the first industrial revolution when the mechanization of agricultural tools were happening. 1400, 1500, 1600 time frame. There was a tremendous amount of concern and worry. What's going to happen to the farmer if we start putting in this tractor? What's going to happen to every industrial revolution? Is the same set of concerns and worries. With some research on a group of people that call themselves the Luddites, right? In the UK, were against mechanization. But what happened? Those jobs that were there, yes, some of them got affected, but thousands more were created, right? So there's an exponential effect when these technologies come along. You lose a little, but you gain a lot. And so that's kind of what we need to inform and educate and try to decrease the worry, but it's mainly education.
All right, so my final question then is, there's a lot of AI talk here at the conference. What is the main takeaway that you'd like to give our viewers?
Yeah, it's a tool. We have to collaborate with like-minded individuals. We have to collaborate with some people that don't agree with us. And so that we challenge each other and we learn from each other, and together, you're right. So AI is not the enemy. That's the main thing.
All right, so thank you to the chairman of the National AI Policy Task Force. Thank you, sir. That's Mr. Christopher Rickard. All right, Ramon, thank you for joining us. Of course, you'll get more updates later on today in News at 7. I'm Trisha Gay Kelly.
Looking forward to it. That was our CVM News reporter, Trisha Gay Kelly, and Chairman for the National AI Policy Task Force, Christopher Rickard, giving us the latest on the ground at the Tech Beach Retreat in Montego Bay. Again, thank you, Trish. Moving on to international news, France's Prime Minister is expected to resign today, hours after being ousted in a no-confidence vote. Here's more from the BBC.
For the first time in more than 60 years, the government has been brought down by a no-confidence vote by MPs. Michel Barnier will present his resignation later, becoming the shortest-serving Prime Minister in the history of modern France. The vote was decisive. 288 votes were needed to unseat Mr. Barnier. In the end, 331 were cast to remove him. The budget, which was the cause of his downfall, is now defunct. France has been plagued by political uncertainty since the summer election resulted in a hung parliament, a result that can't be changed in an election before next July. Let's take you to the scene live in Paris, where it has just gone 8 o'clock in the morning. President Macron will address the nation this evening. He is also expected to appoint a new prime minister quickly, not least because US President-elect Donald Trump is due in Paris this weekend for the opening of the Notre Dame Cathedral after the fire 5 years ago. Our first report this hour is from our Paris correspondent, Andrew Harding.
Moments before the voting began here in Paris, Michel Barnier made a final, rather forlorn plea to French MPs. The Prime Minister urged them to back him, his government and his budget, or create chaos.
Mesdames et messieurs les députés, je ne me résous pas. I can't believe a majority of MPs here will vote to destabilize our institutions at a moment where our country is going through a deep moral, economic, financial and civic crisis. Économique, financière et civique.
But the answer came back fast and conclusive.
Stay with us. Sports is next.